Good morning, everyone. We are now officially in October, and it's significant for me to say because, as you can tell last night, which you definitely should check it out, the Marlins made the playoffs. Yes, for the fourth time in history, the Marlins have officially clinched postseason. First time in 3 years. And I can definitely overshadow the 2020 season, even though that year was pretty good in Miami sports, but everything else outside of sports was just awful, and we don't need to discuss what happened that year. But first time in 20 years that the Marlins made the postseason in a full year. There you go. So no more talk saying, "Oh, the Marlins made it in a short season." Now they can shut their mouths because we officially made the playoffs in a full season in 2023 alone. Yes, this has been a monster year for Miami sports. Incredibly a monster year. Dolphins made the playoffs in January 2023. Hurricanes made it all the way to the Final Four. The FAU Owls made it all the way to the Final Four in the March Madness, and FAU did win the Conference USA Championship. Miami Heat made it all the way to the finals, albeit lost. Florida Panthers especially made it to the finals, but albeit also lost in 5. Messi joining into Miami, and they have won all the way to that one super tournament called the Leagues Cup. That video defined everything of Miami TVG and the channel and Miami sports. Definitely incredible year. And they made it to U.S. Open Cup final, albeit also lost. The Dolphins kicking ass. The Miami Hurricanes football kicking ass. And this adds more to the feel of what a splendid year this is. Miami Marlins made it all the way to the playoffs. Fuck yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the second time this happened. In a professional wise, 4 teams in the area, have made the postseason. For that to happen, you gotta go all the way back to 1997. The Miami Dolphins made it to the wild card, lost to the New England Patriots. The Miami Heat made it as far as the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think everyone knows at that point who won the Eastern Conference Finals and won the NBA Finals. You know, it's the undeniable Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls. More importantly, though, the Florida Panthers have also made playoffs in 1997, and then we talked about the Game 1. We Back in April and May, we talked about the Game 1 curse, and everything like that. They broke the Game 1 curse in May against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but that was the last time the Florida Panthers did win the Game 1 game, and that was against the New York Rangers, but ultimately losing to them after that. So I bring up 1997 just because these years, Florida Panthers did make playoffs. They would absolutely make playoffs. And they would make it again in 2000s, and they had a rough year, so on and so forth. But during that span, though, 2003 was probably the only year that every other team except for the Marlins made it to the playoffs. But the Marlins were the only team that year to make playoffs and won the World Championship that year. And 1997 too. Out of all the teams, the Marlins end up winning it all, including and was especially every team in that year have made playoffs. 2003, sole team that made the playoffs. Florida Panthers did not, Dolphins did not, and the Heat did not. But during the years of frustration, the Heat would be that top team in the Miami area. But that was, and I talked about other teams too, as well as other successful moments in their franchises in different sports. The Marlins were overshadowed, and that's kind of why I brought up 1997, 2003, and other teams, because the Marlins were so overshadowed by other teams. It is just It's sad. It was sad. It was a very, very rough time to be a Miami Marlins fan and a Florida Marlins fan at that time. It was just absolutely brutal. It sucked. We went through the days. Miguel Cabrera was the rookie candidate. It was awesome. And they had one of their worst years. There was even a time where I think the ownership threatened to relocate the team somewhere else because people were not attending. You know why people were not attending? Because they did not trust the front office at all. They had the World Series caliber teams, and they did, and they sold it all off to the other teams. That is terrible. Just for the team standpoints, it's terrible. It was awful business. I don't care what you say. It was awful. You don't sell your team after winning a championship. That's not fair. They'd rather continue the success, and that is why people had this debate. Should the Florida teams relocate somewhere else because they had the attendance problems, especially with this too. That Florida is always hot, right? It's always hot, and there's always lightning every year. Then there was a stadium colossal where they wanted to get their own stadium, but they wanted, there's a controversy of tax paying money towards this thing. Otherwise, they would have to relocate. That whole thing was a mess overall. But eventually, they did get their own stadium, which would make the Marlins Park. I will say that's really unique. It was a unique park. They got home run sculpture, the fish tank behind home plate. I thought it looked pretty cool in my personal opinion. People could disagree, but like nowadays, it looks kind of, the interior looks a little bit more bland than what it was when Jeter took it all away. But then they rebranded themselves to the Miami Marlins, officially changing colors to orange, in which I have a couple of orange jerseys. In fact, I have one that's completely orange. I wore that in one of my vlogs, and I wore the other jersey. I have the jersey that is black but also orange with a huge M that has Stanton on it, Giancarlo Stanton, and he was a monster. He was incredible for the Miami Marlins. One of the only Marlins that I can think of who can get more than 50 home runs in a season. He almost made it to 60. He almost made it to 60 in 2017. Then there's Jose Fernandez. He was one of the greatest pitchers the Marlins have had. And Alcantara definitely claimed the victor of the best pitchers. But without disrespectful though, Alcantara definitely beat him there. But Jose Fernandez, he was a stud. He was definitely a player to be reckoned with. No team, literally no one could figure out Jose Fernandez. No one could until 7 years ago. He has unfortunately gotten into a boating accident and had passed away. That completely, yeah, that was awful. That's just another heartbreaking moment that happened Then 2017 off season, ownership sold the team, and I think it was Bruce Sherman nowadays who took it over, bought the team with Derek Jeter, completely nuking the team, trading big players, and I'm talking Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna, Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto, just other guys who were part of the team for that long get traded off. I guess it worked. I don't know. I at that time I did not like the move. Yankees fans loved it, but they did trade for They did trade for prospects like Jazz. They traded for prospects like Sandy Alcantara. They were trading for prospects. They were trying to build the future. That's part of the rebuild, apparently, that was going on. And it took long. It did take long. But eventually, I think they figured it out. They got a good farm system. By the way, 2018 was definitely not a good year of rebuild, as you could imagine. Realmuto was still part of the team? I don't think so. I think he went off to Philly. Justin Bourne probably was still there. Derek Dietrich. But the only player that was really part of it all before he got traded off the Dodgers was Miguel Rojas. Really, one of the only players. And then a complete reset there. And then 2020, we had a pandemic. It sucked. Then in that year, they did had a good year. They did bring in guys like, I think it was a year before, but Jesus Aguilar that they brought in. I think he was from the Rays at that time, I think. If not, then the Milwaukee Brewers. It was one of those teams. Either way, bring it in. They had a good team. And it was good enough where they made the playoffs. And I'm like, let's go. They made playoffs. That year, the Heat made it to the finals. The Florida Panthers would have made as far as the qualifying round. Dolphins made squat. And at the same year, the Marlins didn't make the playoffs. Inter Miami was born. So, yeah, that was. I talked about all this because of how much of a long time this took for us to get this moment when we make it to the playoffs the full year alone. It was. I wasn't even born during the time where they won the World Series in 1997. I was just a little bit late, but that was the story of the Miami Marlins. Just the fact that they had a lot of downs, a lot of ups and downs, so much downs too, so much downs. 2021, they had a regressed year. I actually went to one of the games in Florida where they played against Baltimore. They did win that game. And I think it was, who was that pitch? I think it was Trevor Rogers that pitched that game. Then in 2022, they actually made some good offensive moves. That's one thing too, with the front office too, is that we complained so much that they would sell off the team. Not sell off the team, but sell off the players. They didn't really do that as much when Bruce Sherman took over. I think he was trying to keep those players in, but they could make it affordable. But Derek Jeter officially hired a general manager, Kim Yang, and we criticized front office so much, but in the long term, it proved to be pretty successful. She has traded some top pitching because the Marlins have a top pitching. She traded for Arise. She traded for Berger. She traded for Bell. She got Segura. She got and then developing some of the players in the farm system, such as De La Cruz, Garrett Hampson, Xavier Edwards, Amaya. Just a lot of guys in the farm system that is ready to shine up in the major leagues at some point. 2023, it finally paid off. We got Arise. We got Soler, and Soler was brought in 2022, but some of the big bats coming in, hitting home runs, and we finally made it this year. Now, in 13 minutes in the video, I do apologize for bringing up other teams and taking so long to talk about this season, but I was trying to make a point here where just how far this franchise has gone to make it this far. This season, we started off relatively okay. We did not have a good spring training, but that's okay. We started off with the Mets. We lost that series. We lost that series 3-1 to the Mets. They beat us in that series. Then Minnesota came in and we got them 2-1 the series. That was the one game. I think it was on a Tuesday the 4th that Alcantara got his first complete game of the year, and it was a shutout complete game. Yes, it was the second game. Then they go up to New York. Well, of course we lost the series that one. Then we go into Philly. We got destroyed, and then history happened on April 11th. Luis Arias got a cycle for the Marlins. That was the first ever cycle in Marlins history. I did a video on that months ago. Go check it out. That was right in the midst of the Florida Panthers and Miami Heat making the playoffs. We ended up winning the series in that one. Then we won the series against the Diamondbacks. We did not win at all in this third game because Zach Gallen was just yeah. Then we won against the Giants. Then we go up to Cleveland and beat them. There were some weather problems there, but we still managed to play the games. We won. Not only we swept the doubleheader, but we also won the series, 2-1. We go into Atlanta just getting absolutely demolished, but we still managed to win that series 3-1 out of that 4-0 comeback in that fourth game. Then Chicago comes into Miami, and we swept them. One was on Fox, and the other game was on Peacock. And then back to business with the playoffs, right? Then Atlanta comes in looking great, and then we get swept. Yeah, you talk about getting beat by good teams. That was definitely one of them. And in that moment, I was thinking, shit, this is just one of those typical May collapse, right? Because last year, they started off pretty good. They actually won 7 straight games. I think was it Washington that they beat, and then Seattle that they were beating. I forgot who. It might have been Washington. I could be wrong. But either way, we got swept by the Braves. I was getting worried that there might be a typical May collapse. Then we go up to Chicago, getting beats. Then we get to the third game. Alcantara was trying to get a complete game and just blew a 2-0 lead in that game against the Cubs. We were close to winning that game 2-0, and he just couldn't do it. Fortunately, we did win the game in 14 innings against the Cubs, and we have owned the tiebreaker. We won the season series against the Cubs. Huge. Then we go to Arizona. We lost the first game. Segura got tossed in that game, I think. But they rebounded, and they won the series against the Diamondbacks in Arizona. So good stuff there. Then in Cincinnati, they came in, and then we found a way to just blow the game in the second game. And I think it was either the second game or the third game where Jax got that turf toe. It's just that toe injury that looked more serious than it actually was. We lost series against the Reds. Then Washington comes in, got that walk-off home run against the Nationals with Jorge Soler. I think it was the 3-run home run that happened. Yeah, it was a 3-run home run against the Nationals. At that time, I thought, game over. We're really gonna have the May collapse. We're really gonna lose the game. We're literally gonna lose the game 4-2 that one. And then Soler just hit a bomb and arrested history that we swept the Nationals in that series. Going to San Francisco. First game was bullshit because there was umpire called time, and then we figured out that it wasn't. Then for some reason, I think it was J.D. Davis that got rewarded first base. Two people got tossed that one. We lost the series against the Giants 2-1. Rockies, I don't know how you lose the series to the Rockies. Just awful. We lost the series 3-1. Then we go to Angel Stadium. We swept them in in Anaheim. Then we won the series against the Padres. Actually we did not. We did not actually win the series against the Padres. That sucked. Then Oakland came in. We swept them. Sandy had some problems. So we swept the Athletics, and we swept the Royals. That was a 6-game winning streak. Then we go to Chicago, play the White Sox. We lost the game 2-1, and then the Marlins comes back twice against the White Sox to ultimately win the series, especially the third game. Wow, that was awesome. Then we go to Seattle. Seattle was a good team. I praise that. And then in the third game, we all remember this. Late at night, Jesus Sanchez grabs up, robs a game-tying grand slam. That was awesome. Then we go to Washington, D.C. We swept them there. Then we come back home against the Blue Jays. Marlins looked great in the first game, but then they just couldn't figure out the rest of the series. Then we lost series. Actually, no, we won the series against Pittsburgh. But that second game, AJ Puk was doing really good until he had that huge collapse in the ninth. Ortiz was pretty good, and then Pittsburgh took over the ninth. That sucked. Then the rest is history with that one. Then we go into Boston. We had a lot of problems in Boston. Last time we won a game in Boston was 2009. Until that day, We won 10-1. We won the series 6-2, and we actually swept Boston in Boston in Fenway Park. That was beautiful. Never in history that's happened. By the way, Miami sports just completely dominated Boston sports this year. So we go home feeling confident. We can do this. We can definitely keep going. And then we ran to the Braves in Atlanta, Georgia, and then just got swept. Then we go back home against the Cardinals. We won the series there. Now, albeit that took we had some problems on Wednesday and Monday as well. Tuesday, 4th of July, completely dominant, and then we just could not sweep them. Then we had some troubles against the Phillies, but we still managed to win the series. Overall, the first half alone, we won the total games of 53-39 in the first half. Post All-Star break, disaster. Oh my goodness. So much disaster that started off. We got swept by the Orioles. We got swept by the Cardinals. We nearly got swept by the Rockies. How do you blow a 3-0 lead in the second game was beyond me. Disaster. Then it took Luis Ariz to finally snap an 8-game losing streak to beat the Rockies. Then we go to St. Petersburg to play Tampa. With Tampa had that phenomenal start. We lost the game 4-1. And then Alcantara got a second complete game against them in St. Petersburg. I mean, what do you want me to say? Then Miguel Cabrera comes back home where he started his career. And the Marlins did win the series against the Tigers. One was on national television where we have lost 5-0. And then we had that, was it a 4-game series? Yeah, it was a 4-game series against Philadelphia in Miami. Phillies is doing great. They're trying to get to the playoffs. They're trying to chase after. Actually, the Marlins at that point trying to chase Philly, and they just could not do it. They did win one game in the third game in 12, but they ultimately lost that series 3-1. It's awful. Then we go into Arlington. We play the Rangers. We got swept there. Then we got that trade with David Robertson at that time. And then that was during the time right before trade deadline where we traded for Bell, Berger, Robertson, and a couple of prospects. Then we go to Cincinnati. We lost the first game, but ultimately winning the series. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. So hence we own the tiebreaker. I don't know how. We own a tiebreaker. August was a tough month for scheduling. Then we played the Yankees at home, and yet we still won the series against the Yankees, especially when they were down 7-3 or 7-2 actually. And then they came back and win that game 8-7 in the last game. Beautiful stuff there. Then we lost the series against the Dodgers. Then we go into LA where we won the game at 11-3 in game 1. And then there was a hurricane that came up in Southern California that forced the Sunday game to reschedule for Saturday, the second game. So they had to do some moves in there. But ultimately, we got swept the doubleheader by the same score, 3-1. Also, that was the same night where the League's Cup Final Championship goes to Miami and Messi. Good stuff there. Then we go down southern to San Diego where we lost the series there. No surprise there. Then we lost to the Nationals in the first game. You lost a series to the Nationals. Now I'm convinced that we're definitely going to lose the playoff spot. We lost the series there. We did not get swept, but the Rays did sweep us. And at that time, we are now down a game under 500. Talk about a historic collapse. Then we go to Washington, D.C. We got a win there. Cool. We're back up. We're back up to 500. Then they go into 11. Now we're in September baseball. We're going into 11 innings. We did beat them there. I'm like, cool. We're back over 500. Then they win the series against the Nationals 7-5. Okay. Then we swept them in the 4-game series. All right, cool. So maybe there's a small chance because teams like the Cubs, the Reds, the Padres, the Giants, and the Giants too. They were in that spot while we're trying to make it back. We play against the Dodgers, and one of them was a bullpen game. I don't need to talk much about it because I did make those vlogs. You already know what happened. We won the series against the Dodgers. It's crazy stuff. I did not go to the third game, if you guys are wondering. Thankfully, I didn't. Then we go out to Philly. We won the series. So maybe the Marlins baseball is starting to come back a little bit. Brewers, we lost series there. Shit. Then Atlanta comes down. Some big-time matchups. And somehow, I don't know how, but somehow we swept the Braves at Lone Depot. Let's go. Then we play against the Mets. We lost series there. No surprise there. We could have won the series if it wasn't for one thing. You know what I'm talking about. The home run hit to the left side of the park by Jorge Soler, and that was called a foul ball. Reviewed it, and then they said Cole stands at the foul ball. You could have freaking reviewed it before changing it. You're supposed to do that. Isn't that part of the rule? That is ridiculous. And we lost the series because of it. Then Milwaukee comes down, completely beating the shit out of us, 16-1, and then actually winning we actually won the series against the Brewers. We actually won a series against the Brewers. That was a big time win series there. Then we go to New York, where there was a lot of weather problems, albeit, but nothing could comprehend what the grounds crew did in Citi Field. Just an absolute terrible job by the Mets organization and the grounds crew, and I'm not ashamed to say it. They did horrible. They didn't cover the outfield grass. They only covered the infield, and the ground on the outfield is too wet, too muddy. It was just unsafe to play. Oh, and on top of all that, NYCFC played in Citi Field on the Sunday of. So the game ended up being postponed towards the Wednesday, and we lost the game 11-2, and we somehow won the game despite the Jake Berger ejection, 4-2 in that game. Mets were beating us 1-0 all the way to the ninth inning, where De La Cruz gets a hit, and then Jazz ultimately comes up clutch, ties the game, and Yuri Gurriel, that's another pickup for this offseason, takes the lead for the Marlins, 2-1 in the ninth inning, and what else? The Cubs were losing that game against the Braves too, so we needed this to completely be in better shape than we were, and then the rain comes down and just screws everything up, and the grounds crew completely screws up for everyone. And ultimately, they had to suspend the game towards Monday, which now the update is we don't have to go back to Queens. It seems like they would. This was deliberate, because the Mets ground crew go to the Marlins dugout, completely taking a group photo, and then saying like, "Yeah, we're about to screw up the Marlins going to the postseason." I mean, how do you do that? I don't know how. I don't know how they have jobs. They should be fired immediately for this. So we had to go into Pittsburgh angry. We did not until the eighth inning, where the Marlins made that 4-score run rally in the eighth inning against the Pirates, and we have won that game 4-3. So the magic number at that time is 2. We're thinking playoffs, and then the Cubs ends up losing in the walk-off against the Brewers. All of a sudden, the magic number is now 1. And then it all adds up to yesterday. We won the game 7-3 against the Pirates, winning the series, ultimately clinching postseason for the 4th time in franchise history. Now we don't need to rely on the Cubs and Reds to lose a game. We're in it. We're in. We're in. We are in. We're in. Playoffs, baby. Playoffs. Just, now at that point, I don't care about the seeding. We're in the playoffs, and I just wanted to come in and touch base. I know this video is long, and I do apologize, but I wanted to share some experience and stories about what's it like for others and what it's like for being a Marlins fan. It sucked, but good time. And I said this. I said this a while ago. The Marlins front office needed to do something, and they did some good things. And now I'm like, they have a bright future. They have, and the farm systems too. They have a bright future. Right now we have a game. We have one more game today against the Pirates. If we swept them, we finish with the 5th seed. And with that 5th seed, we end up playing Philadelphia. We win the series there. We play against Atlanta. But if we don't win, and the Diamondbacks do win against the Astros, we would have to play Milwaukee, and then they would play Los Angeles. So yeah, folks. But anyway, I got a reply saying this is the first. So if it is the first year of all 4 Miami sports teams have made the playoffs, which I don't know. I think it had been 97. I think it was 97. I could be wrong. You can type in the comments below. I just don't remember. Anyway, there you go. The Marlins finally made the postseason. Again, I apologize for making this a long video. You don't need to watch it if you don't want to, but my God, fuck yes, we made the playoffs. October baseball finally back to Miami in the 305. So yeah, folks, that's gonna do it for this video, folks. Let's go Fish. Let's go Marlins. Let's go. And oh, by the way, they're the lower seed. You know who else was a lower seed? Heat and Panthers. So could they make it all the way to the World Series? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, there you go. I'm gonna make a couple more videos later on into Miami recap and Dolphin recap. So yeah, big game for the Dolphins. Recapping New York's into Miami against New York City FC. And then yeah, folks, that's good. That's officially gonna do it for this video, folks. Hope you guys enjoy your morning. Ready to watch some football. I'm so stoked to watch football. I'm excited. And it's a big game matchup tonight. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know what your thoughts, comments. If you have enjoyed the season, please let me know, because I have absolutely enjoyed the season despite in the summertime. And let's go Fish. So yeah, folks, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Please join the membership club. Please join. I have officially made a membership club. So you can come in and we can have some perks. We can have one-on-one conversations. And yeah, folks, that's going to do it for this video. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, because Miami TVG has it back. And when he does, he'll be right there with you for the entertainment you deserve. This is Miami TVG signing up, folks. Good night, everybody.